The old house on Elm Street had always been a place of mystery. No one remembered a time when it wasn't there, looming with its Gothic spires and shuttered windows, casting long shadows over the curious eyes of those who dared pass by. Sarah was new to the neighborhood, a curious soul with an insatiable thirst for the unknown. Hearing the whispered tales of the house's dark past, she felt an irresistible pull, like a moth to a dark flame. One night, under a moonlit sky streaked with clouds, Sarah found herself standing before the creaking gate of the Elm Street house. Pushing it open with a drawn-out groan, she made her way up the winding path to the front door. As she reached out to knock, the door swung open on its own, inviting her into the darkness within. Inside, the air was thick with dust and the scent of decay, cloaking the ornate though decrepit furnishings in a ghostly shroud. Her footsteps echoed through the cavernous hallways as she wandered from room to room, her curiosity growing with every creak and groan of the old wooden floors. In the parlor, she found an old portrait hung above the fireplace, depicting a grim-faced man with piercing eyes. Those eyes seemed to follow Sarah wherever she moved, making her skin prickle with unease. The deeper she ventured into the house, the more sinister it felt. She couldn't shake the sense that she was not alone. A faint whisper seemed to drift through the stale air, so soft that she could barely make out the words. But the chill it sent down her spine was unmistakable. As Sarah approached the attic, the whispers grew louder, almost pleading. With trembling hands, she pulled down the ladder and ascended into the attic's gloom. The attic was a forgotten cemetery of forgotten belongings, draped in cobwebs. Amidst the clutter, she found an old, dust-covered diary. Instinctively, she opened it, reading the disturbing entries of a young girl trapped in the house by something unseen. The pages spoke of shadows that crept in the night and an unspeakable presence that exerted its will on the inhabitants. The final entry ended abruptly with a blot of ink, as if the writer had been suddenly taken away. As Sarah read, the air grew colder and the whispering more insistent, rising to a cacophony of tortured cries. A sudden, bone-chilling draft slammed the diary shut and gusted through the attic. Heart-pounding, Sarah turned to leave but stopped dead in her tracks. In front of her stood the faint, transparent figure of the young girl from the diary, eyes wide with terror. Before Sarah could scream, the girl raised a ghostly hand pointing to the portrait in the parlor. The realization struck Sarah like a lightning bolt. The man in the portrait, he was the unspeakable presence. But as swiftly as she'd been overtaken by fear, she felt a surge of defiance. Closing her eyes, she whispered a prayer she barely remembered. The chilling whispers grew more frantic, but an unexpected warmth began to spread through her body. When she opened her eyes, the ghostly figure of the girl was gone, and the house seemed to breathe a sigh of relief. Sarah left the Elm Street house that night, her spirit forever marked by the terror and triumph she experienced. She knew the house would remain a place of eerie mystery to those who came after, but it no longer held any power over her. The whispers would continue, but Sarah had faced the darkness and brought light, if only for herself.